Welcome to episode 69 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of Cork City Football Club. And this week we welcome radio broadcaster and more importantly Cork City fan Stevie G to the studio. Back with another episode, and after Patrick's week, a busy week for the club.
Busy week put down, but back in the studio again, back at it.
You didn't go too mad for Patrick's Day, did you?
I really
hear green or anything?
No,
like?
not this time.
Obviously, the lads were playing Friday night.
UCD away.
UCD away, the Belfield Bowl. Good win, 1-0. I suppose the most important thing, was getting the win. But I think the other significant moment was, I suppose, a 16-year-old getting the goal.
We've been speaking about him. Everyone's been speaking about him for the last couple of weeks. What a finish.
Oh, great finish.
What a finish. A great goal to be a winner in an away game as well. But brilliant for him. 16 years old, as you said, he's done so well in the first couple of games. He's set up a few goals. I think he assisted a couple of Shawnee goals in a few different games. So brilliant for him to get in on the action himself.
I know, it's fantastic. And would I be right in saying he's the second youngest of all time now?
Yeah, I had a look at this the other day, and during the game, Jaden Ume is the youngest, definitely.
Against Wexford away there.
Yeah, he was like 16 years.
He only turned it, I think.
He just turned 16. Yeah. I think he was like within the month of turning 16. So Killian is a bit older than that, but he's definitely right up there in the list of youngest all-time scorers.
I think like we've had a few in this. We've had the record broken. Like, so I remember, I think Cahill was the youngest. Cahill O'Sullivan, and then Jaden broke his record.
There's been a few, because
he was only after turning 17, and then Jaden broke his record. He was only after turning 16.
Yeah, and club-wide, Kira Senna broke it as the overall club record on the women's side as well in the middle of all that. So the record stood for a while, and then all of a sudden it was getting broken every couple of months. But that's exciting. We talk about the young players coming through.
It's amazing. Brilliant. 16 years of age. You know what I mean? Like to be not just even playing, but to be scoring goals as well.
And looking comfortable.
Yeah. And it's so funny because of his name, obviously, it's getting attention on a broad. You've probably spotted this online.
I saw it.
You know, he doesn't just win Oscars. You know, he just doesn't appear on Peaky Blinders and all.
Yeah,
he's scoring goals.
There was one particular tweet. I don't know which account it was from. One, I think it could have been FOTMob now, or one of the live score kind of apps, and something along those lines about he's got some range from 28 years later to Peaky Blinders to scoring goals in the first division.
Something like that I saw as well.
But look, it's pretty. That's always going to happen with the name that's in it. I'm sure I'll have a Cillian Murphy themed matchday graphic at some time this year as well.
No, it's great. And as we said, it's another young star after breaking through. And I don't actually think since we were on the last time. Or maybe in the other episode we didn't wish Cahill the best of luck over at Preston, actually, who would have been
I don't think we mentioned it actually.
So like best of luck to him.
Absolutely.
Going forward, I mean, he was another one of these young academy players that, you know, broke through and excited all the fans as well.
Yeah, so he was phenomenal that year, 2024 in the first division, and like there was speculation around him from then right up until he actually went. So look, another player to do that Cork City to Preston journey, but we all wish him all the best.
It seems to be a common journey, Cork City to Preston, but somebody that we mentioned a minute ago as well there. Congrats to Jaden on getting a call up to the Irish under-21s as well. I think
he's doing very well over at Benfica, isn't he?
And in is it the UEFA under-18 Champions League?
Yeah, the youth league. Yeah,
he got an assist and stuff there, and I think they're into the quarterfinals now.
Yeah,
Benfica.
Yeah. Did you mention Jaden there in the Ireland 21s? Brody Lee is called up to the 19s.
Brilliant.
Cillian Murphy and Tom McGrath are up with the Ireland under-17s as well. So a lot of international recognition, which is always very welcome to see.
And of course, there's a couple of lads. Alan Brown is back into the senior squad,
and there's that as well. Yeah, most importantly of all, the senior squad.
Big match on Thursday coming. There's 3 former Cork City players in the squad. So there's Alan, there's Jake, and Chidoze. They're all, you know. So, and obviously Faker's brothers there as well. So like we
claim him as
well. So he did mention us on the Premier League there recently. So we'll give him the credit for that as well. So look, there's a nice bit of buzz around. But I suppose the most important thing, 5 points ahead in the first division table at the moment.
Top of the table clash now on Friday. It's first versus third.
Yeah, you forget about that,
yeah. Bray, Athlone were second. Bray overtook them. But ourselves and Athlone on Friday night. So it's a big one at the top of the table. As you said, 5 points clear. Opportunity to potentially make that more depending on how the weekend's results go.
Yeah, The women, though, had a tough game away at Bowes on Saturday.
Yeah, like we spoke about it before the season started, and Barry mentioned it when he was on the podcast as well. The fixture draw hasn't been overly kind to us. Shamrock Rovers at home on the first day, which was quite a good performance, but a 2-0 loss.
They played well on the day.
Plenty of chances as well, which, again, Shamrock Rovers is a bit of a new look Shamrock Rovers, I mentioned before as well. James O'Callaghan has taken over. There's a lot of kind of ex-Peamount players and stuff have moved over.
And City's squad is young. Like, I mean, we talk about 16-year-olds on the men's team, a 16-year-old on the
Leo Leary calendar.
Yeah, she was excellent. Probably
another player who isn't afraid of anything and is quite comfortable. And
to me, she was probably the best player on the day. Anyway, look that day, and again, as you said, no fear. Like, just a bit like Killian, the both of them just kind of come on the pitch with like just playing, like as if they were playing. You know, school
as if it's just a run around, like
playing with their pals out on the road or something. You know, that kind of a way, which is brilliant to see.
But that was the first game. It was a good performance, plenty of chances. Probably could have deserved to get something out of the game.
Yeah,
especially second half, we were much better. But then Saturday we were in Dalymount Park. Not a great start to the game. 2 early goals given away, and I spoke to Barry after the game. At that point, your kind of game plans out the window. Like it's
tough.
Yeah, and 3-0 was the final score up there. Disappointing one, but like the men's team, we're back at Turner's Cross on Saturday, so it's a double header this weekend again. Athlone in the men's first division on Friday. Treaty United, Munster Derby, which always has a bit of bite to it.
Of course.
On the Saturday at Turner's Cross, so that's a 3 o'clock kickoff in that one. So,
and the 3 o'clock kickoff is nice. Like, in fairness, it's, you know, I think it's just after maybe a lot of kind of youth fixtures early in the morning. There tends to be a lot of kind of kids games and training and stuff kind of before, but it's not interfering with evening schedules.
Yeah, you've got your evening and your night.
You know, people
Saturday
have a lot of things on, like parties, so they're trying to commit to that kind of 5 to 7 can be hard for some people on a Saturday
exactly
night.
Yeah, so I know it's only the second 3 o'clock home game now this year, but
it does seem to be
it does seem to be suiting people. Obviously for the first one as well, we did the ticket offer where people got tickets. Anyone who got tickets for the Longford game got a ticket for the Shamrock Rovers game. I think there was 800.
That was great because the girls came up to me as I was coming in on the Friday night, and I just took the tickets, but I just thought they were doing it to everyone.
Oh, everyone. They were stuck to everyone, They were man-marking people as they were coming in the door. Like, it was brilliant.
Was very good. Like,
I think there was something like 800-900 tickets handed out, so like it's brilliant to see the interest in that, and a lot of new faces at the game on the Saturday as well who wouldn't typically be there. So yeah, it was brilliant all around. That offer isn't available now for this weekend, but tickets for both games are on sale. ccfc.ie/tickets.
So this week on the podcast we have something a bit different. We're bringing in a fan, but also I suppose someone familiar from the airwaves in Cork and the music scene in Cork as well.
A very recognisable voice around Cork. Yeah, we spoke recently. We want to change it up and hear other perspectives on Cork City and people's affiliation and association with Cork City. So what better way to kick it off than getting
Mr. Stevie G. Welcome to the podcast, Stevie.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Good to see you.
Something different anyway this week. I suppose you tell me your story with Cork City. How long back? When was the first time you went to see them?
See, I was there when they started. That's how old I am. So
in the lodge?
In the Flower Lodge, yeah. So we were kids, and the Flower Lodge, a lot of people don't know, right? But it was disused for a few years. Like, it was literally not being used. So it was just sitting there.
After Cork City kind of folded, I suppose, was it? Yeah.
So that was the kind of, like, I was a little boy then, fan of Man United. You
grew up around that area as well, did you?
Yeah, like I grew up in Grange, but my old man used to play, they used to play like AUL football down there, right? Okay, so he was involved with Corinthians and a couple of other, like he was involved in UCC later, but so they used to actually, so a normal like Cork team, like a local team, were playing on one of the best surfaces, because you know the story there about like Stanley Matthews said it was the greatest surface he ever played. And no, it could be one of those things he probably said it to it. It's like those guys who come to do a gig in Cork and they're like, come here, this is the best gig I ever did. But it was an amazing surface. Yeah. So we used to go down there on a Saturday morning and the stand was still there. So me and my brother and whoever else was there, we'd be just roaming around the place, and then we were playing ball on the pitch or whatever. And then City came around that like a couple of years later. But for a while, Flower Lodge was just sitting there. Now the thing is, by the time I was like 6 or 7, there was no like Cork Kibs and all that. I had heard all the stories, but it didn't really mean anything to me, like, you know, I mean, as much as I've learned later, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you kind of only know from what other people tell you. Really.
So I didn't grow up in that.
First League of Ireland experience.
Absolutely, yeah. And by then I was a huge United fan, so like we grew up in that era where everyone had an English club. But the politics of that wasn't so back then. It didn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Didn't matter, no.
Like that became a big thing maybe in the 2000s, but back then everyone, like even sport, like it was like you go Cork hurling, you go to Cork football, you go to Cork's whatever. But when Cork City came, I never forget there was a big impact. So something else that happened before that is that Cove Ramblers got to an FAI semi-final.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And they played, and it was back in the day where they didn't do straight to extra time. So they played something like 3 or 4 games against Sligo Rovers. So 2 of them were definitely in Flower Lodge. And everyone in Cork went. Like it was just.
I'd say we're the only Cork team, probably. Yeah,
exactly. And we are a bit like that in Cork. Like the All Ireland final
the old bandwagon comes out.
Yeah, and it's like that. Obviously, it's like that. City get to whatever,
the final,
or if Munster, whoever. So there was a bit of that, but everyone went, and everyone was just support. Like everyone was like. I mean, I've no affinity with Cove Ramblers, so to speak, but everyone would have went. So I would have been a little boy at that, and at the time. Obviously, Cork hurling and football, like the football were just trying to overcome Kerry after they were winning everything. But like people would go to these big kind of. But when Cork City came then, it was obviously 1984, and I do have one big memory of being like literally a little boy, and I remember being on the sort of. I mean, it's Parky Ring now, but being on the kind of, we'll say, the con side of and up there, and they were playing Derry. I think it was a cup match.
Yeah.
And I never forget, like, Derry brought down, like, most of it. No, there was definitely 10,000, 15,000 at the match. Like, I can't remember now, obviously, but I must look it up, actually. But, like, it was so... And, like, they'd all tell you in the 70s, there was 20, 30,000 down there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this was kind of like...
There was an appetite there for it. It just kind of...
Yeah. And my old man also knew, he was friends with Charlie McCarthy, who was playing in one of those early City teams. So I actually met him I met him recently at that funeral last year. But Charlie McCarthy would have been like a guy we knew. So I was like, oh, jeez, this is cool. We know a player, like, you know what I mean?
Play with Cork City, like.
Yeah. Of the Flower Lodge, that's the main memory. I just remember them playing Derry and a big... No, it did become a bit more complicated when they went to Bishopstown. I just thought like it was a bit harder to get to double buses, and I was already kind of like
it felt like out of the back of the Beyonds, even though it's not that far.
When I look at it now, I mean, I work right next door to it, and we used to train when I was playing with UCC. We used to train out there, like, so farm, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, but I don't know what it was. There was just something about it that never, like, Turner's Cross to me is perfect. Flower Lodge was great, but it was, I mean, obviously. There was other complications there, but the Bishopstown era was a bit of a weird one for me. I was also probably getting involved then in the nightlife, so
it's something that it was
just, I don't know.
Is that something that you find? Did you go to Turner's Cross? So when they moved to Turner's Cross first, did you go as a teenager?
Oh yeah, we would have went. My big memory of Turner's Cross is definitely the worst day of my life as a City fan was. The Mark McNulty, the guy from Dundalk who got the goal with 10 minutes to go. What's his name? Sorry, Mark McNulty there. I'm doing you a big disservice. What's his name again? Anyway, I'll always remember we were in the shed and it was like 10 minutes to go,
and
maybe.
Won the lead, no?
Yeah. And that was like 91, maybe.
Yeah.
So we were like, we were young, but geez, and it was actually the same day. I'll always remember Man United lost to, was that the guy?
Thomas.
I knew the McNulty was right. United lost to Sheffield Wednesday. John Sheridan scored.
John Sheridan.
Yeah, because I remember going, well, at least United are going to win anyway, because we were coming away from Turner's Cross. Everyone was gutted.
Yeah.
And that was the big memory down there in the initial era. And then obviously Bishopstown. And back to Turner's Cross.
Yeah, because there is a thing, all right, when you be kind of your early 20s, because I know how kind of happened to me is when you kind of move away from. Well, yeah, life gets in the way, doesn't it? Like,
well, there was a time in my life where Sundays were just kind of like we were religiously going as teenagers and young fellas.
Yeah,
and then it was just other things. I moved into town and we were probably too involved in the nightlife and stuff like that. Now, there were still friends who were going to the away game, going to everything, but it was just a kind of I have to admit, I didn't really kind of get it back till till Turner's Cross and early 2000s. And I suppose by then Red FM had started, and we were very involved in partnerships and stuff with the club. And the odd time I'd end up having I ended up getting called in the odd time to I remember having to do the kind of what's the thing that Colm does with the substitutes?
The PA and stuff like
that.
that
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first game of the season in the 2006 season or 2005 season doing it. And I remember just being like, oh my God, like if you get the names wrong. And I did it last year as well. And it's something that I've always been just like, oh God, it's not for me. So there's been much better people at doing that than me now.
Colm's a pro at it.
Colm's great at it, in fairness.
And Rory's good at it too.
They're very good at it. But it's just, I've done it when they're stuck. But I've got names wrong. I remember there was a Shamrock Rovers player pulled off last year and I got the name wrong. So the guy was still out on the pitch. And but City came back and scored after us. So I was like, they should try that more often.
But that era, that's when Red FM got involved that time, and the Pat Dolan era. There was something. The kind of coolness came back to the club.
Oh yeah, see, that's another thing with and it's glad. Like, I mean, obviously, my son has grown up with Cork City when he was a baby. There were a lot here, right? I didn't have it, but it's a thing. If you have that now, that there's a lot more generations are grown up with it in the blood now, that like, even though he'd still like support United like me as well, it's more like, this is more like, this is your team, like this is your local team. It's in your blood. This is what we kind of, and especially now that the other thing, I look more like a Hollywood thing. It's more like that's more like a kind of, but this is the match going experience. Don't get me wrong, I've gone all over the world supporting football. I'd go to any game, you know what I mean? But there is something about going down to Turner's Cross with your son or whoever.
I see the same faces even.
And just having, and even we had a bad season last year, and you still have that kind of, the gallows humour and it is complicated sometimes at work at the weekends, but I do my best to get to practically most home games anyway. But there is something that, as you said, to get to your question, that era, there was something about, I know it was like something about Cork, a bit more pride again. We had this thing, and I noticed this from music too, that like we had this thing where you tend to imitate sometimes, and young people do it, but when it gets a bit more like, and we had the personalities then as well, like there's George O'Callaghan and all these guys,
Flinney and all them,
exactly,
Leo,
and even the guys who wouldn't be like you're not going to call Neil Fenn your typical Cork guy, but like everyone was part of the same kind of like vibe, and
like they were recognisable in the city as well, weren't they?
Like, were very recognisable.
Some of them might have been out too much.
No, but it was good. But that's the cool thing about like it's Cork, that no matter who you are. I mean, I would have grown up in an era where Cillian Murphy and all these guys would have been out and about, and even to this day he'll come back, and it might be a bit different in the last couple of years, but he'd generally be left alone in a night out. You know what I mean?
Which is kind of interesting, that we kind of look after our own. Sometimes we do kind of criticise when they get really superstar. It hasn't happened to Cillian, thankfully.
Yeah, no, he's just the same as he ever was, really, to be honest.
But like if you look at over the years, that piece with music that you mentioned there, well, obviously you're synonymous with music in the city and stuff. There's always a close relationship between music and football.
Oh no, it's all part of youth culture, and not necessarily youth culture, but it's all part of, especially now that, I mean, Cork City's a community-driven hub, right? And the music scene is the same. So, but when I was a kid, it would have been very synonymous in the early 90s. Yeah. So you would have had the likes of the fanzines. Yeah. And obviously that was a big part of Cork City too later.
There was fanzines.
And even then, but there was like, so someone like Marty, who would have been with the Sultans, would have been doing the Sunny Days fanzine, and they were all like, it was a big Cork City thing, and all of the bands, the Sultans and the Franks, who obviously have tie-ins with the club, there would have been a lot of very kind of like, it would have been very kind of part of the same kind of culture. Yeah. And like football, it's very hard to explain to younger people, but football wasn't really fashionable even in the UK till the kind of mid-90s, Euro 96, Sky and all that. Yeah. So in the 80s, even even here, like when we were watching on, there was the Bradford disaster and there was Hillsborough and all that kind of stuff. But there was still, and I know people are like can see it now, but like there was still a lot of the commentary in the UK was about like all these, look at these scumbags. Like the fans were seen as, and obviously you see that even here a little bit. And I remember going to like, I remember as a kid going to see Ireland and Brazil before the Jack Charlton thing. See, we had to kick a little bit earlier because we had Italia 90, right?
Yeah.
So we had that kind of like, and England had it as well. In fairness, that was a thing that happened in England.
Was good for both countries in many ways.
It did happen in England too, the Gaza and all that kind of thing. But it didn't really become, you know, like really kind of fashionable, like amongst bankers or whoever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would have been seen as being a kind of a kind of a different kind of sport. But in Ireland, obviously, everyone got on board, and hopefully we'll have another one pretty soon. But you never know. But it was definitely, it was a different kind of like football has. Now, sometimes we haven't helped ourselves as a game, the way it has been mismanaged and whatever, whether that's in Cork or whether it's in Ireland. I mean, obviously they're qualifying for World Cups and we didn't really get the legacy we should have. But I think now there's things are moving and definitely in the right direction from the local part side of it, because I would be very involved in football at a grassroots level, obviously, with Corinthians. But like you can see things, the facilities are slowly but surely getting better. We still have to catch up. I was out in Éire at a GA game a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, someone was like, the clubhouse, I thought we were in the main part of it, but it was only like the extra part of it that my son was playing for Nemo out there, and they were like, oh, the clubhouse, you have to go. And apparently this is like because I'm used to a soccer club or football club,
small little dressing rooms and stuff,
this is like, no, they're a massive club, but like football, I would say football, I call soccer football, but association football, now we call it soccer for today, is kind of so far behind in many ways. But I mean that whole thing about, I mean, there is a lot of kind of politics these days between various codes, and there's a lot of infighting, and there's a lot of that which never really was probably around pre-internet. I don't think everyone would have just been, do you know what I mean? If someone was doing well, we'd all be happy. Whereas now it's a bit like, it's just gone crazy.
One versus the other kind of
thing. Yeah, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
And I know people are everyone's fighting for their own, but I don't know, some of it's a bit too much. But we're all guilty of it. I've done it myself too. If someone's going for rugby ahead of soccer, I'd be in the trenches battling away, so I can't say anything.
But it's interesting, you mentioned there where to go, like you're a Manchester United fan, but even Cork and Manchester, they're also very similar with music and the relationship with football. And you look at Manchester, whether it's Oasis or the Stonewalls, and then like the nightclub scene,
the electronic scene. We would have had a lot of those artists over from the mid 90s to the late 90s, like Mr. Scruff, who became really big. He was Manchester based. Ray and Christian, the Unabombers. There was loads of a kind of a natural affinity, but that would be, I would look at that in a greater scheme of things with the north of England anyway. And even a lot of big music cities in the world are the kind of they're almost the second city, third city sometimes. So in America, Detroit, Philly, and all of these cities, even though New York is obviously a massive city, I'm considering New York as the capital in that regard, even though it's obviously not. But like a lot of so even in the UK, there's cities like Sheffield, obviously Liverpool, Manchester, Bristol is a big one. In Cork, there's a massive natural affinity. So you'd often get even all around Europe, you sometimes go to the second or third city, and even the football culture could be more interesting, the music culture. But in Cork and Manchester, and obviously in Liverpool as well, there's always been a massive kind of like, I don't know, it's a cultural overlap and to do with.
But it's interesting, they both have football and music at the heart of their cities.
Absolutely,
it's like it's like they went to the match during the day, they went to the music at night or something.
I think that's a natural thing for a lot of cities, and especially now in the last few years, you can really see the overlap between football and music anyway, and any kind of youth culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and obviously in the terraces, even the way they, like I suppose they create the music. I mean, football is unique in terms of the singing aspect of it.
Yeah,
compared to
but even you
sports.
can see it in the fashion, in the kind of
Jersey
even
culture
in
and all of that.
Jersey culture, the fanzines which we were talking about, and the community. No, the ownership culture is very important because like we've lost venues left, right, and centre in Manchester, in Cork, in Liverpool, in London, even the bigger cities, the New Yorks. So this is a kind of a thing that like where we're kind of going. There's a lot of questions been asked in the last 20 years, particularly about like ownership. I mean, even in the big cities, the biggest, like Man United's a huge brand. Look what happened to them with the Glazers or whatever. So we've obviously had the situation here. And I remember being, because I was working daytime on the radio when that all happened. When we literally thought City was gone. Like
you're going back to 2009 era.
And that was really bad.
And you don't think you're going to go back down the road of like having Flower Lodge empty, like the Thomas Cross is going to be empty this time.
And you're like, geez, this is like when you think, oh, this is like, you know, we'll ride it out, but it's mad that like, I mean, obviously the fans and a lot of people stepped in. But
they did a phenomenal job.
Unbelievably so. And then it changes the identity of the. Like I think it becomes, we think about that. Like you're not thinking of that when you're 8 years of age down to see Cork City play in Derry or whoever. But like as time goes on, you do think about these things a lot more, and you even think about where you spend your money or how you, I don't know, you just think about a lot of these things as you get older. But the community side of Cork City is very important, and I mean from their grassroots level to communicating with the clubs here. And other stuff, even apart from football, like you know what I mean. I know you've probably dealt with that a lot on the
it's quite
podcast.
An inclusive sport in terms.
It has to be like, and it's accessible. All you need is a ball, like So even if it's the amputee football, or even if it's people playing in wheelchair, like I do a lot of work in that field with music, and it's the same in football. It's quite accessible, and now that we've had. It's not just like you know, when I was a boy, there wasn't really women's teams, we'll say, around the place. Even up in Corinthians, when Megan would have been training with the boys, which a lot of young girls have been doing, and it was her dad just created a girls' team, and now we've millions of teams up there. Well, not millions.
She went on to play in the World Cup, like Megan Connolly,
And it's the same with Cork City, with the girls here. Like a couple of our girls in Corinthians would end up playing with them, and then it's kind of like. Even we're talking about Man United, they had no women's team till a few years ago. And the visibility now for girls of like they can see a Katie McCabe or whoever, or a Megan Connolly or whoever it is, like, you know what I mean? Russo or whoever.
Notice playing with Liverpool.
Denise, Saoirse. So we had a girl for Corinthians over training with Celtic last week. And Saoirse Noonan of Douglas Hall, Cork City, or everyone really. So she's with Celtic with Ireland, and she's over there, and that's a visibility, and they can see there kind of like they don't have to be just looking up to Messi or Ronaldo or Shawnee or whoever it is. It's girls as well. So I think, but from the inclusivity thing aside from boys and girls, I mean, the accessibility, it's like, you know, you go to some foreign country and you just end up kicking a ball around with some random person on the beach. I mean, that's something that I've done forever, and that's a cool thing about it. Is a language that is kind of very kind of like accessible. You don't need to know a million rules, like, you know what I mean?
And even like you're very involved with a lot of different multicultural things in the city and stuff like that. And it is one kind of thing that the club has tried to do over the last couple of years, have days for that and include them and stuff like that. No,
in fairness to Cork City, and like I would know a lot of the lads because I would have played soccer with them through the years, the Ainas of the world. There's been a lot of stuff going on out of the spotlight too, I will say. Erica as well, from the inclusivity point of view, that like it's a bit of a wave sometimes, and some people do it on a performative level. And it's like, even some people, I see even when boys do it, they get slagged a lot or whatever, because sometimes people think it's too whatever performative and all this. But I'm always like, in fairness to the League of Ireland, like there's a lot of clubs doing a lot of stuff in other area, in other kind of like the League of Ireland, a lot of people just bash it from the outside, right? But there is so many clubs, and Cork City are great in that regard, and they've been doing it for a long time. Like I would have been out in the direct provision centres working, and they would have been giving tickets and just load of other things that you can, and sometimes it's not just for a photo shoot, you know what I mean? Because that's one thing I've noticed in that game. There is a lot of performative stuff going on.
Tick boxes, exercise
and
kind of stuff.
Some of it is almost like literally is a box ticking thing. Like you see it a lot, like for photographs or whatever, just to get a photograph in the Echo or whatever. But I do know that there's active stuff going on, and it is a way of, I mean, that's why it would horrify me that a football fan or a music fan could be like going into this kind of like, you know, from a far right politics or whatever. Yeah. But football is one of the things that's really kicked back against a lot of that, and it's a good place where, actually, and we have become, in the era of Cork City, we'll say, we're a multicultural society now as well in Cork. So it's not just the players. Like, so back then, when I was growing up, it would have been, there was a few basketball players would have been imported, and there was a couple
usually from Neptune or Blue Demons.
Exactly. But no, it's like, you know, it really is like the team is multicultural, and there's a lot of different faces down at the Cross, we'll say, and even a lot of my friends who are living here, working here in Apple or wherever, coming from Spain or Portugal or Italy, they go to the games, and a lot of them then become fans.
Yeah, and they pass it on to their kids if they have families or whatever.
And you know, sometimes you'd be in a foreign country and you'd go to a match and you'd always have an affinity for that team forever.
Actually,
So there's a lot of that with us as well.
You buy an old top or something while you're there.
Follow their results forever.
Become number one fans.
Yeah, now that's the cool thing about sport, bring people together, you know.
You mentioned a while ago there about, you know, it's kind of different for you now, like as I suppose you're in the shed now with your son. What's that like?
I wouldn't have really went to the shed only when I was his age. Yeah. And I was over like in the prawn sandwich area there, the media area. So with Rory O'Hagan or something like that. Wine gums or something like that. But no, I only went back there in the last couple of years. But it's great, man. I love it. I just love the whole. And to be honest, like, especially in the last few years, it's like because we lost it for a while when we had COVID, and I just appreciate just everything, like the kind of like just the vibe of, and this is the same in music industry, you know what I mean? Do you know, just that feeling of just being out with among people, experiencing and it could be just the humour, the faces, the people you meet, the random comments. It's just, and because everything else is gone so corporate, even in the music thing, you know, like everything is so massively orientated towards something like a massive thing. It could be the Electric Picnic or whatever, or a big gig in Páirc Uí Chaoimh or wherever, Crow Park. But like the actual bread and butter of it,
the week to week stuff is kind of
and that's why. And I mean, as someone who would have coached at the kids growing up or whatever, and even still playing myself, 5-a-side, 6-a-side or whatever, that part of it is something that I really appreciate. And it's great fun. It's great atmosphere. Even last year, I mean, geez, it wasn't a bad season, but like still I love going to all the games, like.
Yeah, and something, I suppose sometimes people maybe listening to this, you're giving a gift to the child by bringing them, aren't you? Like in terms of, like if they get the bug, like they have it for life. Like, you know?
Like he's definitely got the bug, but like he just gets rid of me once he gets there now and hangs out with his own buddies. But that's fine. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in something like that, it's just you're there, that's it, like you're in, like there's no turning back, like. And I know people go through phases like we said earlier, but I think if you come back to it, if you have the ball, I mean, we all question why we can not get more, like why isn't there more? And I've had the conversations with a million people. I used to go there, I used to this, and no, I get it, like, but I do think there's more, particularly in city and even in the fan base, there's a bit more kind of like, it was a bit us against them for a while, particularly in the 2000s. It was very kind of like people giving out about someone having a Liverpool top or whatever. Well, I would too for other reasons. But it's just, do you know what I mean? It's just a bit, people are a bit more kind of like, we kind of know where we are now. And it's kind of, we have to, and in Ireland as a whole, I think we just have to build things up and again, I have friends who come from England, people who go follow bigger teams. I got a friend there from Spurs, right? Huge Tottenham fan, and he came over to the Cross, And he was telling me, like, we were going to, and it was a game against the Ramblers. It was the game, remember, it was possibly shouldn't have went ahead. They wrecked the...
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah,
it was a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
And that week, there was massive, like, rain, flood warnings.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just saying, look, listen, you don't have to come this time. No, it might be a bit nasty out there. Like, it might be the weather. It mightn't be going ahead if you want. Because I was expecting him to be wanting the whole. So he came anyway, and we went down to the corner flag beforehand. And he thought it was the best thing ever, first of all. And then we went out, and the match was just like, everyone just slipping. But he was so into it. Like 10 minutes in, he was like, I can't get this at Spurs anymore or whatever.
It's the authenticity, isn't it?
He loved it. He bought a scarf. He was like, I think I gave him my scarf. And then he was like, when are we going next? So I was like, geez, it's actually mad that you realise how, again, and the atmosphere, it could be only 2,000 or 3,000 people compared to 50,000 people, but you're right in it. Like, and it's that kind of
like going back to music. It's like when somebody says they've seen an artist in a small venue versus seeing them in Croke Park.
Yeah,
you know,
well, in a music gig anyway, like a stadium, it's very rarely you're going to capture what you're going to get in a couple of hundred people. But so that whole experience, then you realise you're kind of feeling it. And you can see that with all the Europeans or whoever else are coming to the matches. They're feeling that authentic. And also you're not spending like 90 quid or whatever for it, or whatever some of the people are spending in London. It's ridiculous.
Like £10 for a craft beer or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's I'm all in anyway. I think it's I love it. Like, and obviously sometimes I work Fridays, music. Sometimes it can be tricky, but it's I love it. So.
And over the years, who are the players that kind of who you're cultivating?
I'd be a striker, so we've always had brilliant. Like, geez, we've been so lucky from back then to now. But like, I really liked the era when it was around. For whatever reason, I was off on Fridays for about 4 or 5 years, and I never missed a game. I was only working late, so we'd all go. And it was the era when maybe the tail end of Joe Gamble, but even when Colin Healy was there for a while.
Yeah.
Even though I loved that there was some of the players there that just gave it like loads. But I don't know, like we've always had great attacking players. I really enjoy watching Kyle O'Sullivan, actually. And at the moment, obviously, we've with Shawnee a good few eras there. Rory Keating, if you have good strikers, but even back to John Caulfield, Pat Morley. But there's always been great, like, cult figures too. We've been lucky to have so many personalities when you think of it, like.
Oh yeah, loads.
And players on the, like, obviously, certain players are only going to be here for a while. But now that I'm involved, like, with Corinthians, I would know as well that, like, there's players you're seeing up there, and then they'll go here, and so there's a bit.
It's interesting watching the journey.
Yeah, and you can see them you can see a different perspective, like, you know what I mean.
And then at some stage, some of them get all the way to the top and represent the national team, which is unbelievable to see.
Absolutely. And there's so many Cork. And again, when I was young, a lot of the players for the national team were, English born.
Yeah.
So now it's like,
it's
unbelievable.
In many ways,
absolutely. And they've all, and even the kids from different, like, someone from an African background, but like, you can listen to them, and a lot of them have Cork accents. They've grown up here. They were born here. Yeah. They're Irish now as well. So it's interesting. It's really interesting. But there's definitely been a wave of, even nationally, there's a bit more of a wave of pride. Like, and I mean, if they can qualify now for the World Cup, it'll be interesting. But even if they don't, I think things are getting a little bit better.
Yeah, and the fact that there's so many Cork lads involved in it. It's
unreal.
Like, in that 1990 squad, there was none.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's unreal.
That. Like, in, there was no Cork person at all in that Italian 90 team.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously we had two of the next one in the 94.
Well, that was such a big thing in Cork, having like Dennis and Roy, and even then later we had other players like Lee Miller and stuff,
and Colin and stuff, like,
exactly. But like, no, it's just a bit more like they would have come up through a different, like, like seeing people down here, because obviously post Brexit, things have changed and there's players staying here longer, even though obviously Roy Keane didn't move till later, but like a lot, like the Pat back then would have been like you'd be 13 or 14 in England, whereas now you're seeing, I mean, all the players here. Remember Darryl Horgan, like, would have been here for many years.
Right,
a fan favourite, and then he wouldn't have moved on or whatever till probably early 20s or whatever.
It's the likes of Kevin Doyle and Ryan Donovan and all them.
Yeah.
Like, and, and I think that is something that it's important for teenagers and even young kids to, somebody that you're seeing on the pitch actually could end up being playing at the highest level of football.
It's unreal. Like, I mean, we've been so lucky here. When you look at the list of players who play with City, like, I mean, it's unbelievable when you think about it. Like,
and we only mentioned a while ago when we were kicking off the podcast, it's, there's 3 lads in the squad on for Thursday night's match. You look, Alan Brown's back in there, and you have Jake O'Brien and you have Chidozie as well. Like, so
no, it's great.
So it's brilliant, and it's and who knows?
And Quiveen as well. I know he's not Cork City, but
his brother plays for us, like, so we're
exactly, all right. Yeah. He gets in on that.
And he's one of us. When he's Cork, he's one of us.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable. That brings an extra kind of pride. Yeah. And the Cork thing in the last few years in the Irish squad and with the girls as well, it's class, like. So it does give you a bit of extra kind of optimism, and obviously the pathway thing, because people see it, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would know from working with kids in music and in football that people really kind of see that. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like talking about Messi and Ronaldo or whatever, if they're talking about players here. And of course we have Adam as well from Corinthians up in the Irish. So like the Cork, that's the Cork connection is so strong.
Nearly a quarter of the squad, like.
Yeah. And it's great, like, and the accessibility, you know what I mean? It's like, in Cork, we've got our hurlers and our rugby players or whoever, our footballers. It's quite accessible. Like, you'd meet them, whoever you'd seen them in the street, you'd say hi to Simon Zebo, whoever it is. Yeah. You'd meet Alan Connolly or whoever, and the soccer players. It's very kind of like, they're going to schools, they're meeting people, like football or hurling, whatever. So, happy days.
And in terms of yourself then, still playing away in the music?
Still playing away in the music and the football, yeah. One probably better than the other. But still doing the music, still very active. A lot of grassroots events
kind
now.
Of workshops and stuff nowadays and stuff. Brilliant.
So that's changed a lot as well. So I suppose
it's like anything, things evolve as time moves on, doesn't it?
It's very much a kind of like, I ended up accidentally falling into a lot of different zones. Like, I would have always done little bits of work with people with additional needs. Yeah. But that just ended up going crazy in the last couple of years. It ended up accelerating by pure accident through a few events, and one thing leads to another. And I know a lot more daytime stuff, I mean, the club scene has been, if you think football has had a tumultuous life, the club scene is a bit like that, It's very kind of like things change, venues close, ownership changes, someone goes, you get fired, you get moved on. And it's very kind of like uncertain.
Although there is a bit of a throwback in recent weeks, the Savoy open back up.
Yeah, there's a couple of things will come back. Like, I never thought the Savoy would come back. Yeah. And even I played the other night in the Pav, which was closed for all, which we would have run at one stage. So yeah, things, it's like anything, it goes in cycles. But there's a load of young, talented people, and it's a bit like the sport, to be honest, that like is trying to give them the best platform. So now there's loads of kids playing 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 are getting a lot better at coaching, they're getting a lot better whatever. And it's the same in music, that like literally there's tons of us now that are providing a bit more of a kind of like mentor kind of ship vibe, and hopefully in Cork, because I think we could always be doing better with music. Like there's brilliant bands, we'll say, always, all through the years. I think in my kind of music, like even the electronic side, there's brilliant artists. But particularly for hip hop and rap and soul, there's some great artists that sometimes we don't get the stuff out as much. Like the industry isn't as advanced as it would be, we'll say, in Dublin. Like in Dublin, you can meet this rapper, he's about 20 and he's got a manager and all this already. Yeah, whereas in Cork, we're a bit like, and there's this local hero thing. Sometimes we're just happy to do a gig here and be kind of like, not local hero, but I don't know. We just need to sometimes get our expectations a bit higher, I think, and to move it on. But it's good. Music scene is good. Like there's some great grassroots stuff happening. I mean, we always don't have the spaces to operate in, but there is brilliant stuff going on. Like, so I'm really encouraged about that. And there's always young people creating and making something out of nothing. So
it's good. So board on football and music.
Yeah, things are looking up. Things are good. Yeah, it's good. Two good hobbies to have. And the two things that I definitely am obsessed by to this day. So
Well, great obsession.
Happy days.
Well, thanks a million, Stevie, for coming in.
No worries. Thanks for having me. And best of luck to City in this season. Back where we belong next season. And a bit challenging, but we'll be there anyway.
We'll get there. Thanks again.
All right, nice one.
I think that was a nice way to kick off kind of different fan perspectives, wasn't it?
Really cool, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I forgot Stevie looked so fresh. I forgot he was around in the early days of...
He's so recognisable though, isn't he? Like you hear him on the radio and you're like, oh, geez, like I've heard that voice around Turner's Cross a couple of times as well. And he mentioned he's done the PA a couple of times. Like he's kind of been the voice of the Cross as well.
He's synonymous with culture in the city as well. He's been involved in so many different aspects, and he's seen himself evolve over the years, going from kind of being that club DJ to being somebody that's facilitating workshops and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's got a hand in everything, which is in a good way, in a good sense. You know what I mean?
Brilliant. And now obviously, you know, his role as a dad, but also he's talking about being a coach in football, and there's loads of different aspects to him. So it was a nice little one.
Yeah, he's very passionate about everything that he does, from kind of his own football to supporting football, supporting Cork City, and it's good to hear his relationship with Irish football. Like,
it was an interesting one there. He was talking about the music and the culture around music and sport and music and football in particular, and the jersey culture. But what we didn't say earlier on, the Cork City jersey kind of got a bit of spotlight there last week, huh?
Yeah,
the global audience.
And Stevie was talking about not just music and jersey, but in Manchester, and even further deeper link. There was a couple of jerseys went over to the overlap team. Gary Neville got one, Jamie Carragher got one, but he wasn't there. Jill Scott got an away jersey, Ian Wright got an away jersey, and Roy Keane, Cork's very own Roy Keane, got a home jersey.
Lowsy on Wayne Rooney, he didn't get any.
We were told there was no guests, and then Rooney was there.
We'll
get an address and we'll send one over to the overlap again. But brilliant to see a lot of people talking about it, a lot of coverage about it. And they were all very complimentary of the jerseys as well, which helps.
It was lovely to see even Gary Neville just throw it on and talk at the end of the show or whatever, and take the photograph in it, because obviously it's a massive show. Like, it gets about 1 million viewers every week,
like insane.
Not to mention how many listened in on Spotify or Apple or whatever, like, as well, like, you know.
It must be one of the most listened to and watched shows if you actually look at the metrics. Like you said there, on YouTube alone, getting those kind of views on YouTube, they're getting multiples of that on podcast platforms and on the rest of social media. So
it's massive.
We got that Cork City jersey in front of a hell of a lot of people last week, and I was chatting to Peter this morning, Peter Morland, our retail manager, and we've had a good couple of orders from the UK, first time customers coming in buying Cork City gear. So
brilliant. So fair play to the lads. In fairness, you know,
if you've stumbled across the podcast from the club from that, ccfc.ie/shop, you can get your own.
Yeah, or hello to all those new listeners if they are and wondering who we are. I know they're wondering. We're talking about football and music and everything. They would think it's a totally different show.
It's like this every week.
The Irish team going with the World Cup qualifier. So obviously that big game takes place first on Thursday night, and we do wish the lads best of luck. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'd imagine there's not a person in the country that isn't into football that wouldn't hope that they'll win and bring it back to the Aviva the following week.
Yeah, all the country is going to nearly be shut down Thursday night watching it.
Yeah, so best of luck.
And if we do get the big game on Tuesday, phenomenal, it'll be brilliant. And if you win that, then pandemonium.
We'll have special episodes of the podcast.
Do you think they'll fly us out for a World Cup edition of the Rebel Army podcast? No?
Preview out there. Doesn't go a few Cork City players there. We could do a whole...
We'll see what we can do.
But yeah, back to reality on Friday night. I suppose we'll be back at the Cross at Loan. As you said, we'll go first versus third, bit of a top of the table clash.
It's starting to take shape now. I think the table a little bit. Bray at Loan are up there, both doing very well. Bray would have been kind of in conversations about teams that would be looking to push Cork City into getting the playoff in the playoff hunt. So yeah, first versus third, it'll be interesting. At Loan have done well so far. We've obviously done very well. One draw, won the rest of the games, and as you said, Cillian Murphy got the goal last week. So if we can.
Yeah,
he won't be there this week, but we'll need to kind of replace his creativity. He's away with the 17s this week,
which will be a bit of a loss for us. Like, look, I'm sure someone else will be ready to step in.
That's what the squad is for, like,
that's what the squad is about and stuff like that. So and then the women are playing on Saturday then at 3:00.
Munster Derby 3:00 against Treaty United at the Cross.
So 2 big games. One thing we didn't mention, the academy, how did they get on last week?
Yeah, the Women's Development League team were off, so no game for our newest team, which is the Women's
23,
team. the games that were on Saturday, the men's under-20s had a 3-0 win over Kerry and Bishopstown. Cian Daly got 2, Brodie Lee got the other one. Obviously, we mentioned Brodie's away with the Irish 19s then as well this week.
Yeah.
Women's under-17s had a 4-1 win over Peamount up in Mayfield. Mia Quill, Kate Mulcahy, Fia Comerford and Niamh Dunphy with the goals in that. The men's 15s had a 3-2 defeat away to Kerry in Mount Hog Park. On Sunday, the men's under-17s had a 3-1 defeat in Adair to Treaty United. Donica Dingavan got the goal there. And the 14s beat Treaty up in Mayfield. Ashton Lillis got 2. Gavin O'Connell got 1, Luke McManus got 1, and Kane Wolfe got the other one.
So some nice results, and I'm sure they'll be playing again this weekend. So a busy week ahead. So I suppose, look, best luck to Hyman and the lads on Thursday night. Mayor, if they win on Thursday night, could we get Colum to play like give the last jack, or we're all off to Jackie's Army or something on Friday night?
Just, do you know what? If they do win on Thursday and on Tuesday, think of the buzz around Irish football.
The buzz would be unbelievable, yeah. And
how it will benefit
the knock-on impact on
the League of Ireland,
phenomenal, and the underage academies and all that. Everything will be boosted.
But selfishly as well, obviously it's great to have the League of Ireland get that attention, but it's going to be buzz about football in Cork. It's, like you said, there's going to be 4 or 5 Cork lads in that squad. Yeah. There'll be a buzz in Cork. Everyone's going to be up for it. Do you know what I mean?
So fingers crossed, and best of luck to them all. And anyone going to Czechia, if maybe they're listening to this, enjoy it. Don't go too mad over there, but
safe travels and all that.
Safe travels, and we'll be back next week, probably, hopefully, before the next qualifier. But
we'll know where we stand.
Enjoy all the football the weekend to come in.
See you next week.
See you next week.